pump up the volume, pump up the volume, pump up the volume, dance, dance.
But if there's one resounding sonic signature that stayed with all the versions of house music and has come all the way back to the fore right now, it's the two drum machines were influencing it more than anything else. The 808 and the 909.
Probably know the 808 as the drum machine that powers hip-hop. Takahashi invented that too. Both used analog synthesis to generate sound, but the 909 was unique in that its cymbals and hi-hats were samples of real drums.
This man gave us, probably by accident, machines that caused nothing but a revolution.
As I said before, it's defined particularly by having a kick drum, one on each of the main beats of the bar. Open hi-hats, now that came from disco, that was a direct reference to disco, and this is where it's important. Some of the early house records were always actually just trying to copy the disco records that they'd heard before, but on cheap electronic equipment.
There's something in especially the open hi-hat that just whips a dance floor into a frenzy straight away. I mean, a kick is one thing, but it's really that certain...
And the one thing that was nearly always available was the poor 909 because it just hadn't sold very well. But it just so happened to have that particular perfect storm of the massive kick drum, the belting clap, the snare drum that you can do fantastic little rolls on, and those sloshy 4 or 5-bit cymbals and hi-hats.
That punchy sound of the 909 quickly permeated through Chicago and even Detroit, where bedroom producers were taking inspiration from house music and developing a genre called techno.
And as I say, this is just one of those twists of fate that happens to define an entire genre of music.
In the late 1980s, different house subgenres began to form. There was acid house, developed from the song Acid Tracks by Chicago producer Future. Its iconic sound came from the squelching bass line of a TB-303 synthesizer.
A couple of music box fans spawned a new style of house by abusing a machine designed for karaoke.
Well, basically, we started using the 303 just to try to make bass line.
There was deep house, which leaned heavily on soulful vocal samples and spacious synthesizers. And then there was Italo house, which more than any other offshoot relied on the upbeat rhythm of a digital piano. Just like house, the sound of Italo disco is driven by drum machines and synthesizers, and it's this genre that forms the link between Lolita Holloway's disco and house music.
In the 70s, a remix was taking away elements, creating grooves where there might not have been a groove, or accenting certain parts.
Vocals would be chopped up, harmonies manipulated, but at the heart of the remix was the pounding 4/4 beat.
That was the perfect storm for what was to become house music.
Constantly reinventing itself, house's unique ability to create new genres is matched only by its irresistible power to move dance floors across the world.